Oops. That would be my fucking mother. Are you kidding me, bro? Dude, what are the odds that right when I click record, I drop my phone? Welcome to the Fray Flag Pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another build video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my Rowan's Call Flakrakkbuild for Mayhem 4. Now, with full disclosure on everything, I did not come up with this build completely by myself. This originated from an idea from one of my fans on Discord. His name is Faris or Ferris. You know, I'm going to put a picture of his name there. He'll probably be in the comments down below. But he gave me the idea to do this build, so I decided I'm going to do it. Along with that, Marcus hooked me up with some Rowan's Calls. Now, if we look, his were a lot better than mine. If we look at the ones I farmed, let's just, where are they at? They should be down here. Yeah, you know, they didn't have any anointments, but they were still good. But he gave me ones with Rakk anointments. Thank you to him once again. You guys know, he's in the comments. Say hi. But anyway, let's get right into this build. Thank you guys so much for the support on my last video. I really appreciate that. But let's go. If we go over into our skill tree, we're going to be starting off in the Hunter tree. 5 points in the Interplanetary Stalker, so when we kill enemies we get damage, and we get a bunch of other cool bonuses. You guys know the drill. This is almost a must on most flak builds. 5 out of 5 in a Hunter's Eye, so we get all of that. I'm not going to read all this. You guys already know if you've been a long time subscriber, and if you play flak, you know what most of these skills do. And now we're going to be putting 5 points in the Two Fang. It's 6 out of 5 for my class mod, but this actually plays a big role in this build because the way the Rowan's Call works is when you hit a critical hit, 2 bullets are added back to your magazine simultaneously, 2 more bullets ricochet to other enemies, and with Two Fang, since you have a chance for another projectile, you'll shoot 2 projectiles at the cost of 1 projectile and get 4 back in your mag 30% of the time, which just helps with ammo efficiency. It's almost like you never run out of ammo, and you'll see why once we get further down into the tree. 3 points into the most dangerous game because there's always badasses in Mayhem 4. The critical hit damage and the gun damage is going to basically always be there, and you get a little bit of cash for killing badasses, so that's pretty cool. 3 points into Big Game, just so we can boost up the most dangerous game and boost into Planetary Stalker. 1 point into Galactic Shadow. Doing this increases our critical hit damage by a flat out 15%. And you guessed it, we're doing a critical hit build basically, because that's how flak works, and the Rowan's Call goes perfectly with critical hits, but we're not using fadeaway. We're going a little break from fadeaway and going into a little bit of Rakk action here. 5 out of 5 into Grim Harvest. Now, Grim Harvest is an ability I never really got to experiment with because I haven't found any amazing guns that pair well with it. But since we have to go so far into the Hunter tree, I decided to put 5 out of 5 into it because we're going to be getting a 15% bonus gun damage, 50% action skill damage for our Rakks, and 35% bonus pet damage. Alright, now finish off with the Capstone Megavore. Now, doing this will allow a critical hit 20% of the time when you hit an enemy anywhere onto their body. So if you're not the most accurate person in the world, and it's just for convenience sake, you'll be getting your ammo back and the ricochet effect will be happening more often, and you don't always have to hit that crit spot, and you can crit enemies that don't want to be crit, you know, those enemies that have a tough crit spot and stuff, and it's just very helpful to have. As you guys can see in our blue tree, we do not have anything because the 3 points into gun damage we don't really need, and the action skill duration does not mean anything with Rakk attack, so this is kind of a useless tree for this build. But over into the Stalker tree, we're going to be putting 5 out of 5 into Furious Attack, so we get more gun damage and handling the more we shoot, because once you start firing this thing for quite a while, the recoil starts to kick up a little bit, and it's just good to have a little bit more damage as well. 5 out of 5 into Overclocked for more fire rates and more fire rate after reloading. 3 out of 3 into Turn Tail and Run. You guys already know, gun damage, fire rate, and you're just more tanky when you're on the move. This is very good for Grave Ward because if you're standing still killing Grave Ward, you're going to be getting the 25% gun damage and the 12% fire rate while standing still, just to make the kill a little bit quicker. I might have put a kill of that in the beginning of this video, but if I didn't, we're going to be going into the kills after we talk about all the gear for this build. But anyway, we're going to be putting 1 out of 1 into Lick the Wounds, because Lick the Wounds, like I said, if you're a solo flak player, always put a point into this. Your pet is not useless. The pet is actually a lot better now, especially with all these abilities. 3 out of 5 in a self-repairing system so we can get farther into the tree. And then we're going to put 3 out of 3 into Fast and the Furious. Now, this is just my favorite skill in the game. You guys already know if you watch my channel. But you get 50% pet damage, 42% gun damage, and 16% movement speed just for being above half health, and 99% of the time you're going to be above half health. So this is just a great perk to have. Now in terms for all of your abilities and your pet, it's going to be all in the Hunter skill tree. You're going to want Rakk Attack along with Rakk Open, a cold one. Now the reason you would want Rakk Open, a cold one is because a lot of enemies don't resist cold, and the ones that do resist cold, there's very few in between, and it's just a lot better than having fire because there's so many enemies in this game that resist fire. Then everyone has shields, and you know, it just makes it more efficient as an ability. And you're going to put Flock and Load because you want 2 additional Rakks, so you have more targets for the anointment that's on our Rowan's Call to proc, which I'm going to show you guys after we go over our pets, which is going to be the Spider and Scorcher for more elemental damage and a little bit more health regeneration. And here is my Guardian rank 291, and here is all my stats. Like I say in all my other videos, these builds work perfectly fine if you had 0 Guardian rank. Once they add a feature to remove Guardian rank buffs, which I know they will, it'll probably be somewhere like right here, and or they might remove token to the left and put it there. But I'm gonna start doing builds without the Guardian rank just so I can prove to you guys that these builds don't require you to have hundreds of hours into the game. Alright, so now over to our inventory, the fun. We have Rowan's Calls. Obviously you're gonna need a Rowan's Call, but I happen to get these anointment ones from my friend Marcus, and we have every element except shock and corrosive. Now I wanted to get a corrosive, but the only corrosive one I farmed was anointed for Face Slam, and I didn't want to use it, so we're just gonna have these 3 for now: radiation, fire, and shock. Now as you can see, all of these ones have enemies damaged by Rakk Attack take 100% increased damage for a short time. Now this is a very good buff to have on this gun, mainly because when you use your Rakk Attack, you're just getting the flat out double damage on the enemy that just took damage from your Rakk Attack. Any other anointment would be good. If you got after action skill end, you deal 50% more fire damage. That's good as well, because Rakk Attack, right when you activate it, it basically procs that you already did it, and you could constantly get that buff over and over again. So you don't need this anointment, but this is one of my more favorite anointments for the gun. Alright, on to the class mod. We're going to have Deadeye, because we're going to be doing an additional 35% damage when enemies have above 75% health, which is very nice. But not only that, we're going to be getting a bunch of points into important skills, but not only that, we're going to be getting 45% Jacob's Weapon critical hit damage, and that's what all the Rowan's Calls are. So when we're hitting our crits, we're doing increased damage by almost another 50%, which is insane, and it's very good to have. Now if you don't want Deadeye, you can put any other class mod you want, but that 45% Jacob's critical hit is going to be doing a lot for us in this build. Here's where I had a little bit of a dilemma. When I went over to the relic, I didn't know which relic would be the best, because I have these similar relics with similar stats, but I didn't know what would be the best. At first I thought maybe an elemental projector one would be pretty good, but I realized that most of the time I wasn't on fire, or I wasn't like radiated, so I went over to the long-lasting Atom Bomb. Now this increases the magazine size for all of our weapons, increases our cryo efficiency, and it increases our action skill cooldown rate so we can activate Rakk Attack more efficiently. And I think this is overall the best I found so far. If you guys have any other relic ideas, let me know in the comments, but this is the main one that I enjoy, and it helps because when you're using the radiation Rowan's Call, it's a very noticeable difference in how much radius and the amount of damage that the auras do. Over to your grenades. Grenades in 99% of builds are very personal preference, but with this, every time I'd use Rakk Attack, basically, I'm going to be getting a bonus 50% cryo damage for 10 seconds with all weapons, and that's just good to have no matter what element you're using. It's just bonus damage at the end of the day. And obviously for my shield, I had another dilemma because shield, I chose between these two, and here's why. The backham is very good. It's almost like a mini sham, good for survivability, good for lasting longer in the fight, but the loop of Angel is one of those shields that I thought about using. I tried some testing. I died a lot more with the loop of Angel. So the loop of Angel makes it so when your shield is gone, you get your action skill back quicker. And it's a very noticeable difference, but you die so much, and I didn't think it was worth the trade-off. But for you careful players out there, if you want to get your Rakk Attack faster than normal, the Loop of Angel is amazing, and it can be acquired from the side quest where you have to help Tannis find the memories of Angel, and it's a very cool side quest and storyline. I highly recommend that you guys play through that, not because it's just good loot, it's for the fact that it has a big part of the story in that quest. But anyway, now that I showed you guys the gear and I showed you guys all the skill points, let's get into some gameplay. Now, a big tip with this gameplay is try to rack attack as much as possible. I know that may seem a little stupid, but the more you rack attack, the more enemies that are going to be gaining that 100% bonus damage from your Rowan's Call. Now, doing this is making it so every time you rack attack somebody, the Rowan's Call that's in your hand will gain 100% bonus damage. Now, the big downfall I think of this build is sometimes with the heavy enemies, like, you know, the little enemies, I forgot their name, the heavyweights, I think it's the heavyweights, where they had the little circles on their back. You have to target those because there's a chance that you'll insta-kill them or whatever. I hate those enemies. That might be why I have a problem with them. But yeah, it melts through shock, it melts through a lot of different elements, and my favorite, I think, out of all the elements is radiation. Radiation just spreads to everybody, and it's so cool, honestly. But in terms of bosses are not a problem whatsoever. Grave Ward, he dies pretty quickly. Grave Ward takes a bunch of damage, and you can almost always hit your critical hit because he's basically a giant walking crit spot. But yeah, along with Grave Ward, I just bumped my mic. Along with Grave Ward, we have other kills. We have Bill, and Billy. Now, all these guys, they're usually generally tanky. They move around a lot. But you can see, even in Mayhem 4, this build makes quick work of them, quick farm. And it surprised me. When one of my subscribers gave me this idea, I wasn't sure at first. But after testing this build, I actually really like this build. It's one of those builds that you didn't really expect to be good, but then when you actually use it, it's just amazing. But yeah, I might throw in some other clips of other gameplay in just so you guys can see how it works, the functionality of it, and you don't always need to hit critical hits. I mean, it'll be better, more damage, but our perks allow it so we don't have to be 100% accurate all the time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this build. I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it. Any other recommendations? I would probably get a shield that matches your playstyle, because my playstyle and your playstyle might be different. Maybe get a corrosive Rowan's Call for the armored enemies, but I personally think radiation makes quick work of armored enemies, but that's my opinion. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below to support what I do here. And if you want to join my Flakrakkbuild Discord, link is in the description below. Thank you guys so much for the support recently. We're about to hit 600 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough. But anyway, I hope you guys have a terrific day, and I'll see you guys later.